And welcome to part 2 of the 6-part series of our Truest Nature, the aspects of authenticity that help us on our way home. And as mentioned before in the first video, which you can see up here, this path is often paradoxical. To come all the way home, to become 100% our most authentic self at our truest nature, paradoxically, we begin to see that there is no self at all. And there's probably some other explanations for this, and we could get into those in a later video. And today, we will talk about openness, or being open, and the aspects of curiosity that seem to be part of our truest nature. And so, as mentioned in the first video, a nice metaphor for this is to imagine a beam of perfectly white light hitting a prism just like this, and on the other side of the prism, it sprays out a myriad of color. And these aspects are the same thing as the white light, yet for some reason they seem to show up in different facets. And our first video covered honesty and what the truest nature of honesty is. This video will look a little deeper into openness and how curiosity is a wonderful way to determine where we're at. But even more than that, more than just a compass, it is a driver. It is basically what drives us deeper into the mystery. Openness. It's a willingness to approach things in a fresh way, in a new way. It's the willingness to hear information that maybe we don't want to hear, and to re-examine things. And I don't necessarily mean in an intellectual way. Here, in this aspect of our truest nature, all of this will be felt. As other videos have kind of covered, this is all touching. This is all felt. And the initial aspects of awakening is a felt experience. It cannot be parsed with the mind. It cannot be understood in the binary cause and effect way that the mind seems to understand the world. So openness is a space of feeling. And when we're looking at openness, one of the most vivid aspects of this is vulnerability. In order to really get to a place of intimacy and immediacy, we must open ourselves to vulnerability. And sometimes that can be really challenging because there are things that the mind likes to co-opt when it comes to vulnerability. Humiliation, for instance, is simply just vulnerability that's been co-opted by the ego. The mind will tell us that vulnerability is a dangerous place to go. And that's because there's a belief that gets established that says, I'm more likely to be hurt if I am vulnerable. Here, I encourage you to run some experiments, play some low-stakes games, and see what vulnerability can actually show you about right here, right now. Curiosity seems to be a powerful driving force with all of this awakening. It takes us on its own. It is almost the essence of feeling into what has been intended, who we truly are. It's excitement. And sometimes it can show up as fear, and this is why we pay attention to thoughts. One thing to pay attention to when it comes to curiosity is when we open ourselves up and we are approaching things in a curious way, make sure that you pay attention to how thoughts usually organize around curiosity. Usually, curiosity leads to a state of knowledge, where we become curious over something, and then we learn something, and then something strange happens. Knowledge is the death of curiosity. To know anything, to reach a platform, to reach an end point in knowledge, we begin to lose our sense of curiosity. Here, in our truest nature, curiosity is something a little bit more open. It doesn't have an end point. It isn't oriented to in the same way. Curiosity for curiosity's sake. That is true openness. And here, even on this channel and some of these conceptual ideas as they're presented, it's acknowledged that this is mostly conceptual because the only way to actually know anything in this realm is to experience it firsthand. These pointers are clues. These pointers are breadcrumbs. And if curiosity is piqued, follow that. That means there's probably a part of you that has a knowing that goes beyond the intellectual aspects of knowing, and it will take you somewhere. Curiosity for curiosity's sake is openness. Approach all these things with an open mind. Be willing to re-examine every aspect of your experience with reality. Be willing to examine every aspect of that which seems to be a belief, that which seems to be true. Ask, is it true? Is there more here? Is there more to explore? And not to find out as an endpoint, not to learn or know something or grow, yet just to be in the midst. Follow the little white rabbit and follow the breadcrumbs. That is an essence of curiosity. That is the essence of openness. In addition to that, pay attention to what's happening out here in the outside world. See what aspects of this content area are reflecting something internally. Be open to feedback. Be open to what other people are telling you. One of the most powerful things that Angelo mentioned in his book, Awake, he says, if somebody tells you you're not very awake, you can reject that at your peril, or something to that effect. There is a lot of message out there that we can be open to. Consider it all. Don't reject anything. This is the essence of openness. Let it all in. If there seems to be some sort of spiritual practice or some sort of spiritual philosophy that's being presented to you, and there's an aspect that wants to reject that immediately, pay extra attention. That is a lack of openness. Ultimately, openness is a great determiner of what we are saying no to. It is a powerful force of curiosity, and it is also that which allows us to question everything. And this will take us to a place of utter vulnerability. It'll take us to a place of seeing the world exactly as it is versus allowing belief to take precedent. Openness is the antithesis of a belief. It is present. It is spontaneous. It is intimate. It is here and now. And that curiosity for curiosity's sake will take you closer to your truest nature. So, see if you can allow yourself to be as open as possible. What do you reject? What do you say no to? Where do you hesitate when it comes to curiosity? Where do you hesitate to hear feedback? And where do you hesitate to see this moment as it is? The most terrifying thing for the identity isn't the future at all. The most terrifying thing for the identity is the mysterious, spontaneous, unknowable now. And openness will help take you there.